A Breakthrough Journey. October 2nd, 2012. It's been 1 year, 8 months, and 9 days in the making. The last time I worked on film production set was back in January 2010. Lots of things happened that month. I broke my hand, I shot Resurrection of Sirius Rogers for an obscenely low, no-budget amount of bucks, and I wrote 2 scripts. Now, it's time to get back on that wild, bucking production horse again. I'm heading out to NYC to work with my Twitter Facebook friend and professional filmmaking colleague, Sujewa Ekanayake. Sujewa's been making no-budget, low-budget, and micro-budget flicks for as long as I have, and I've watched his work with great curiosity for nearly a decade. Now, I get to work with the man and help him bring his new project to life, Breakthrough Weekend. This is a milestone for me, although I was born and raised in NY, Brooklyn, Jamaica, Queens, Far Rockaway, and have 10 films I've written, directed, and/or produced and edited. I've never actually made a movie in NY. I'm super excited about it, and you'll witness my excitement in my upcoming blogs about filmmaking from an experienced neophyte perspective. Best of all, this is the first of 2 projects I'll be working on with Sujewa. Next year, we hope to shoot my slice of life film, At Will, in New York as well. We're going old school Robert Rodriguez with this shit. Just a small crew and the actors. I will be multitasking like a mofo. Here's some info about Breakthrough Weekend. Project: Breakthrough Weekend, a feature-length comedy drama. Writer-director, Sujewa Ekanayake. Production and distribution company, Sujewa Ekanayake Wild Diner Films NYC. Estimated release date, early mid-2013. Story description. Inspired by the unique beauty of New York City and elements of Jungian psychology, Breakthrough Weekend is a comedy about a young writer who takes a weekend job assisting a private detective in New York City. In between solving secret problems for clients, the private detective shares some of his unusual brand of wisdom with the writer. Facebook page, http://www.facebook.com/breakthroughweekend. Blog, http://breakthroughweekendmovie.blogspot.com/. Back in the saddle again. October 22nd, 2012. New York, New York, it's a hell of a town. I'm sitting here in the Brooklyn headquarters for the new film I'm working on called Breakthrough Weekend. It's Sunday, and quite a weekend it has been. My American Airlines flight left late and arrived at JFK International Airport an hour late. By the way, a day before my flight, I received notice from NBC Universal that Marcus Sean Williams and I needed to come in to pitch our comedy series to the heads of the NBC Comedy. Boom! Interestingly enough, the in-flight entertainment was provided by NBC Universal. I watched Animal Practice, Chicago Fire, and Guys with Kids, where think I saw my Facebook friend, Phil Idrissi. There I am, arriving in New York at 1 a.m. Luckily, Sujewa, the writer, director, and producer of Breakthrough Weekend, was there to meet me. Turns out in NY, the Metropolitan Transit Authority takes the weekend to do repairs on the subway. Getting home from JFK via the airport shuttle to the A train, and then into Manhattan for the NOMA 3. Train to my brother's house on Central Park North /110 the Saint was going to be interesting. The airport shuttle dropped Sujewa and I off in Ozone Park, where we stopped off at the Esquire Diner for grub. I was starving. We back on the subway, actually an elevated train at this point, and headed towards Brooklyn, where we realized the train we needed wasn't running. We had to hopscotch around, to and fro, where we finally landed on the platform for the R platform. It was 3 a.m., and there were 2 drunk young women in their 20s sprawled out on the filthy subway platform floor. Literally. I should have taken a picture of them. What was interesting is, I seemed to be the only one thinking, this is strange. Everyone else went on about their business. What's worse is that I noticed a fat, 6-inch sewer rat crawling by the women. They were completely oblivious, passed out, or perhaps sleeping it off. As the rat got closer, Sujewa walked over to wake the ladies up. The rat ran away. We got on the train and hopscotched the subway again on the QNR what the F ever. Finally, we were on our way to Manhattan, but there was another problem. My brother Barry wasn't answering his phone. I didn't want to travel all the way to Central Park North, wander through Harlem, and knock on a door where nobody was home. Sujewa let me crash at his place in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. More aptly, I crashed on his hardwood floor. Ouch. We got up early in the morning and I took 800 milligrams of ibuprofen for my back. My brother called me and we made plans for him to meet me at his apartment. Sujewa and I headed to George's Diner for early lunch, and then I mapped the directions on hopspot.com to get to my brother's crib. Barry met me in front of his building. I settled into an armchair in his apartment in front of the TV. First thing I noticed, Barry has more sneakers than I have shoes. Jet lag started to hit me, and I dozed a half dozen times until 7:30-ish when Barry got home. I ordered some Chinese food and settled back in to watch more TV. I noticed that my Windows phone wasn't charging properly, so I've decided to carry my charger with me everywhere I go. I woke up this Sunday morning with a scratchy and sore throat and made a point to pick up some cough drops and Airborne. Sunday afternoon, we picked up the Panasonic AG-HMC 40 camcorder and met up with James Davis, the assistant editor for Breakthrough Weekend, to go to Sunset Park and shoot test footage with the camera. The test footage came out great, even in low light situations, filming people of color. More about the test footage shoot in the next blog about Breakthrough Weekend. Production days are good days. October 22nd, 2012. We're gaining momentum on the project Breakthrough Weekend. Sunday, Sujewa, writer-director. And I got an early start and met at Adorama to pick up the Panasonic AG-HMC 40 PJ. We then took a side trip to Union Square Park to check out some locations. We met up with James Davis, the assistant editor for the project, and headed for Sunset Park in Brooklyn to shoot test footage. The footage came out great. I have to admit the HMC 40 is my new favorite micro-budget camera. Shooting 1080 at 24p and 60, I yielded amazing results and a potential color space that should make color correcting a pleasant experience. Indie film tip: it's a good thing we tested at both 24p and 60i. Two interesting things came up. 1. Final Cut. Pro 6 and 7 can't natively handle AVCHD files. You need a plugin to make it work. However, iMovie and Final Cut X can handle it. 2. Second thing we noticed is that if the camera records in 24p, once you set it to 60i to record new footage, you can no longer read the 24p footage on the HD card. You must change the settings back to the settings on the clip. Hopefully, you've recorded the settings. Heading back to the Brooklyn office, Sujewa shot some footage in natural light, around 6-ish. Test footage will be posted later, but let me say, that footage was amazing. Low light? What low light? It's looked like a scene from a CSI New York shot in HD. We examined the test footage in iMovie and started to download a trial version of Final Cut X. Multiple sequences are being cut as I write this. Later, we headed back to George's Diner for pie, and I jumped on the subway to go home. I jumped on the wrong train. Before I knew it, I was on 42 Street on the west side when I should have been on the east side. A MTA worker gave me instructions on how to get to the #2 and #2 trains without paying another toll. Here's what I had to do. 1. I was on the D train, should have taken the N train. I had to get back on the D and take it to 161 St. Yankee Stadium. The Bronx, the Bronx, 2. I had to go down 2 levels, walk across the platform, 100 yards, and then take an elevator up 2 levels to get on the elevated train track to catch the #4 train. 3. I took the #4 train south 1 stop to 149 St. Grand Concourse, still in the Bronx, where I walked 100 yards to get to the #2 train. 4. I rode the #2 train south for 5 stops. Yeah, I made it to Manhattan. I made it home, ate some fried chicken wings, worked on my brother's computer to get it working with his internet service, and then I crashed. And tomorrow will be another breakthrough day of pre-production on. Breakthrough weekend. East goes west meets east again. October 24th, 2012. It's been an interesting almost week back in NY. A month ago, if someone were to ask me if I could live in NY again, my immediate response would have been no. But now that I'm here, and I've somewhat settled back in my answer is, I don't know. Filmmaking and writing is my thing, and to me, LA is the hub for it. But I hear that the indie scene in NY is surviving and thriving. It's just so tough not knowing where it is to experience it in person. In LA, if you want to see some indie filmmakers doing their thing, you pretty much know where to go. Sunset Boulevard, Downtown, Miracle Mile, Griffith Park, Santa Monica, Venice, WeHo, NoHo. Even though I was born, raised and lived as an adult in NY, Jamaica, Queens, Far Rockaway, East NY, Brooklyn, I haven't made a film here. Well, there was this little film that me, my cousin Bryant, my brother Gary, and our friend Demetrius tried to shoot on a Super VHS camcorder back in 1991, too. But I've never really shot a movie in NY, so I'm sure that puts me out of the loop of common knowledge. Now I feel more like a visitor and a tourist than an NY resident. It's hard for me to imagine stealing shots in forbidden locations while working ostensibly to look like a benign commuter as I blend into crowded streets and subways. But that's the LA in me, I'm sure. Whatever the case, I'm sure working on a film in NY will do amazing things for me experientially when it comes to writing and shooting back in Los Angeles. I like to get on a set at least once a year. It's been over 18 months since Resurrection of Sirius Rogers, so it's time to get rocking again on a project, and that's why I'm here in NYC. A freak microstorm after Hurricane Sandy delayed production for a few days. The power of a script. October 25th, 2012. One of the promising things about Breakthrough Weekend, the new indie film project I'm working on in New York, is the word power of the script. Breakthrough Weekend is a comic detective story that takes place in New York City. Inspired by Jungian philosophy, this comedy drama involves an aspiring writer who takes an unusual job assisting a uniquely philosophical private detective. The two travel throughout New York City, attempting to solve highly unusual. I was first attracted to the project because my social media friend and filmmaking colleague Sujewa Ekanayake was at the helm. We've been chatting for several years, and we have similar perspectives about micro-budget indie filmmaking. Secondly, the thought of weaving Jungian philosophy into a contemporary detective story with a 70s vibe was appealing. Now, having read and gotten new insights on the script, I think this project could be something special, particularly on the festival circuit. To me, Breakthrough Weekend has a mumblecore-like feel, is smartly written, informative, entertaining, and funny. Sometimes it's absurdly funny, other times it's subtly clever, and other times shockingly humorous. Moreover, after reading the script, it's hard not to have some new insight into life, relationships, and careers. In fact, I came away feeling like I'd just spent 2 exhilarating hours with personal coach therapist. Breakthrough Weekend is an indie film project by Sujewa Ekanayake and Wild Diner Films NYC. From Brooklyn to LA, back to NYC, and then Louisiana bound. November 15th, 2012. I'm back home in not-so-sunny California just in time for a cold front to drop the temperature to a finger-numbing 55 degrees. In NY, this temperature is considered a blessing. In LA, it's a curse, and I'm officially physically wrapped on the detective comedy production with a Jungian twist, Breakthrough Weekend, by writer-director Sujewa Ekanayake. The long and short of my trip: worked on a film, survived Hurricane Sandy, saw my NY family, whom I don't get to see often enough, met some awesome film folks, that is James, Sean, Damien, etc. First time shooting in NYC, reconnected with some Twitter and Facebook friends. More about my New York adventure and Breakthrough Weekend coming soon. 2 questions. January 8th, 2013. Q&A with Breakthrough Weekend director Sujewa Ekanayake. Breakthrough Weekend is a detective story that takes place in New York City, inspired by a dream, NYC, and Jungian psychology. This independent comedy drama about an aspiring and struggling early 30s writer who takes an unusual job one weekend, assisting a secretive, larger-than-life private detective philosopher. The two travel throughout New York City attempting to solve several highly entertaining cases. The story melds the concepts of working past personal limitations and trying to become a better individual. Storycat, tell me in one sentence what BW is about. Sujewa, Breakthrough Weekend is about the comic adventures of a wise NYC private investigator. Storycat, when I first learned of BW, the thing that caught my attention was your employment of Jungian psychology. What was so attractive about this aspect of psychology that you wanted to use it in a film? Sujewa, the idea for the movie started from a dream. Looking into dream analysis led me to several interesting ideas from Jungian psychology, so I used the model of a mythic quest, also the concept of archetypes and Jungian ideas related to the difficult work that people need to do in order to improve themselves as key elements for building the story. Other than that, any set of ideas such as Jungian psychology that encourage people to look inward for answers to their conflicts, to resolve their conflicts, are good ones to work off of, I think. One of the coolest things about being in NY was seeing this little critter perched on the bracket for the air conditioner as he looked for a place to rest during the high winds of the storm.